Hello and welcome to the Home Screen Podcast. My name's Josh, I'm the host. This is something I've wanted to try for quite a while now, so I thought I'd give it a shot and see how it turns out. The idea for this podcast was it'll be predominantly about film, film discussion and film reviews, but we'll also occasionally touch on some gaming and series reviews as well. I feel like podcasts can often become a bit rambly, which of course is great, but at the same time I want to try and keep this quite manageable as shorter episodes. So we'll try and keep this also pretty spoiler free. Today we have our first guest, and that is Charlotte. How's it going, Charlotte?
Yeah, I'm all good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Is this your first time on a podcast?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great. Do you listen to any podcasts?
Listen to a few, not really on a regular basis though.
Well, thank you for being a guest. Before we dive into this episode and before we say what the film is, I thought it'd be good to get to know a bit about your interest in films. I know it's a bit of a tough question to put you on the spot. What would you say is your favourite genre of film, or one of your favourite genres of film?
I love a good rom-com. I love rom-coms. I also love horrors and thrillers as well. They're quite good.
Nice. What do you like about them? Why do you like rom-com? Why do you like horror?
With horror, I like when it's a really good horror, I like the spookiness feel of it and the adrenaline you get. Like when it's a really good story and just following it, and when the jump scares are actually scary. Like Hereditary, that's a good one.
That's true. So I was going to say then, moving on from that, what's one of your favourite films? I just mentioned Hereditary, but anything else spring to mind?
I wouldn't say Hereditary is my favourite just because it's very scary, yeah, but it is a good film. But I do recommend if you love a horror, it's very good. I do like the Bridget Jones, and it's a very contrasting film, but I love the Bridget Jones series.
Cool. Well, amazing. Thank you again for being on. Great. So we'll dive into today's film, which is a really special one, as I thought it would be quite good to have it as the first episode. Last weekend, we got back from the London Film Festival, which was great. We had an amazing time. And while we were there, we got to see two films, one of which was The Boy and the Heron, which is the UK premiere of the new Studio Ghibli film, which we'll talk about in a future episode. But today, we're going to be talking about Killers of the Flower Moon, the new Scorsese film. I mentioned briefly we'll be keeping this spoiler-free. So this is a spoiler-free review and thoughts and discussion about Killers of the Flower Moon. It comes to UK cinemas this Friday on the 20th of October. So, Charlotte, what did you think of Killers of the Flower Moon?
I thought it was really good. I really liked the story, and the acting was really good as well. Like, it wasn't really what I expected, to be fair. Well, to be fair, I didn't see the trailer either, so just went in completely blind. But yeah, I really liked it. It was good.
Nice. What did you think? I know you said you didn't know too much going in, but what did you sort of expect going in, knowing it's a 3.5? It's a long film. Going in knowing it's a 3.5 hour film, like quite a prestigious film, probably going to win loads of Oscars and stuff. Like, what was your preconception versus what you actually saw? Were you more impressed? Is it kind of what you expected to see?
I was definitely more impressed because I'm quite a picky girl when it comes to films.
Really?
And like, I should probably know.
Yeah, can confirm. Definitely can confirm.
So a film definitely has to have a good story to keep my attention on it, and it definitely did that.
Yeah, I agree. I think this really was an amazing film. On Letterboxd, I do film reviews, and yeah, I mean, just to read a bit of what my thoughts were. I think this really is a masterclass in filmmaking in every aspect, which is no surprise from Scorsese. It's such a fascinating story. I feel like never plays it safe with going down tropes. Yeah, I think it's brilliant. It's long, but I think that it's well structured and paced. The Letterboxd synopsis is: when oil is discovered in the 1920s Oklahoma under Osage Nation land, the Osage people are murdered one by one until the FBI steps in to unravel the mystery. Give us a bit of the flavour there. Yeah, so the concept really is Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Ernest, comes back from the war and is then comes into contact with his uncle, who's played by Robert De Niro, and then through manipulation and his own intuition, falls in love with and marries into a member of the Osage group of people, a lady called Molly, played by Lily Gladstone. And then from there, I don't want to say too much because of spoilers, but as the synopsis has said, it really is about people manipulating to try and get their hands on the insane amounts of money that were generated by these Osage oil reserves and oil lands. I think there'd be quite a cliche way of telling this story of just evil, rich white people bad and the other people good. And
Yeah.
I think it is quite nuanced and quite clever how it shows it. I don't think it's quite just blunt. I think that it's quite clever how they show, again, without getting too much spoilers, how Leonardo DiCaprio's character Ernest really is manipulated into thinking what he's doing is for the benefit of the family above everything else, which, from a cold hard facts, is true. But I think it is he's definitely manipulated by his uncle, which again you'll see in the film. What did you think of the runtime, with it being so long? Like 3 hours 26 minutes, I think, is the runtime. Nearly the length of 2 other films back to back. Do you think?
No, I didn't think it felt long at all. But I suppose that's just because I was really into it. So did it feel long for you? Or
I think it felt long, but I don't think it overly felt like outstayed its welcome. I think the editing was really good in this. I think obviously Martin Scorsese and his editor, they've got a really good editing pace. I think this is very similar to Wolf of Wall Street in its editing style. Yeah, I think it's a really well-paced film in that regard. I thought this was a really funny film.
it definitely did have its comedy in it.
It had a few really funny moments
Yeah.
that I wasn't expecting. I thought it'd be a lot more serious.
Yeah, me too. Like some of the, I just have some of the characters are, like, especially Ernest, who's played by Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, he's brilliant. He's so good. I think it's one of Leonardo DiCaprio's best roles.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would get another Oscar for this, especially with like Oppenheimer this year.
Yeah.
Is there anything you didn't like so much about it? Is there anything that sort of struck you as being quite not as strong, or was everything pretty?
Not really. Just probably the story didn't end in the way I sort of wanted it to end. But that's like my personal preference, really. Obviously, I'm not going to say what happened at the end because that'd be spoilers. But yeah, just my personal preference.
Yeah, I do see how the ending could be a little bit. Some people might like it more than others. I thought it was really clever. It's also, I don't know if I told you on the date, it's based on a book.
Oh, is it?
So I'd be curious to read the book
Yeah.
and see how much is a one-to-one adaptation, how much is made from it.
Is the book still called Killers of the
Yeah.
Flower Moon?
Yeah.
I was going to ask, what do you prefer, when you mentioned this is probably Leonardo DiCaprio's like best role, would you say it beats Jack from Titanic?
I think The Revenant is his best performance. The Revenant and The Wolf of Wall Street are both really good. Jack from Titanic is really good because he's so charismatic, but I think The Titanic is a great film because of like the story. I don't think it's... I think he's good in it, but I don't think it's like... The film isn't amazing just because of Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, no. I think the story's good too.
No, he is good in Titanic, of course, kids. I think his best roles are Wolf of Wall Street, The Revenant, and this.
Yeah.
But then you being a big Titanic fan, do you prefer him in Titanic or in Killers of the Flower Moon?
Probably Killers of the Flower Moon.
He's so good in it.
Yeah.
I think he's really, really impressive.
Yeah, just because of a certain character he had to play and portray as well. I feel like it's a bit, I don't know, probably a bit harder to...
I think it must have been a hard role to play because he is... I mean, I don't know how old he's supposed to be, but I presume Ernest is what, in his 30s, in his 40s, but he's like got the gullibility of like almost a teenager.
Yeah.
Like he's his own man with like a wife and kids, but he just obeys what his uncle and his family tells him to do in quite like a naive and gullible way. So I think it is kind of, it must have been a really hard role to play without it coming across as like, it would have been, not every actor could have pulled that off the way it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, we saw this at the London Film Festival on the 8th of October. Was it your first experience to a film festival?
Yeah.
What did you think?
It's sort of what I expected, but also a bit different as well. Like the fact that it was in a theatre where shows are, performs and stuff.
It definitely felt like a different kind of film festival. It felt so huge. Other film festivals I've been to, I went to one in Manchester Film Festival a few times and went to one in Budapest. more traditional film festivals normally is like lots of small screens, lots of films happening at once.
Mm.
You pick and choose what you want to go to, whereas because this was like such a huge thing, and these were like the two films we saw were such big films. It was literally just the big film, and there wasn't much like else going on. There was like food markets and stalls, and we walked past the red carpet. It was nice at the South Bank Centre because before it happened, we went for a walk by the London Eye, and afterwards we just explored London. So I think it was really nice. But yeah, in terms of the actual festival itself, it felt quite different. But it was also really, really cool being in a theatre with that many people.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah, just like the whole sort of applause and it at the end, like seeing everyone really pleased with the film, and yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. And there's also like audience moments, like when there's a joke, and everyone's like laughing and enjoying it. Whereas I think if you went to see it on like a rainy Wednesday night, like The View, and there was like you and four other people in the cinema, and you don't really get those interactions as much.
Yeah.
But when you're in a packed cinema at a premiere, everyone is like on the same wavelength. Everyone's there to have a good time.
That's
So it
true.
feels more like an event. I think it's quite interesting because obviously it is more of a theatre at the Royal Festival Hall,
Yeah.
but it felt more like we were watching a show than we were watching a film. Some closing thoughts on Killers of the Flower Moon. So what would you give the Killers of the Flower Moon?
Give it a solid 9.
Solid 9 out of 10?
Yeah.
So, and what stops it being a 10 out of 10? Like the ending?
Yeah, probably just my personal preference. But yeah, probably at the ending.
Nice. Yeah, I think I would give this 5 stars, 10 out of 10. I think it is
What are you going to say, 5 out of 10?
5 out of 10. after all we've said, after like how much we like it, no, it's not that great actually. No, of course. There probably is a few things in this that, I mean, don't go into spoilers. There's a few things in this film that I didn't think quite worked as well. Again, not going into spoilers, but I think the gullibility of Ernest was probably taken a bit too far at times, where it was a little bit too unbelievable.
Yeah.
Especially with how he acts with his family, with his wife and his kids, and then what his uncle's asking him. I think I would also give it a 9 out of 10. It'd be easy to just say, oh, it is perfect, but when you think about it, like something that's a truly perfect film with no gripes, I think there is one or two things that I didn't like, but I don't think that's to do with the filmmaking. I don't think that's any issue with like the directing or the acting. I think that's just the story. And if it's directed from a book, then that's no fault of the story to story. So, I think I'll give it a really solid 9 out of 10.
Yeah, definitely. I thought the intentions of Ernest, like, I didn't really know what his intentions were a lot of the time, like what his true feelings towards his like family or his wife were.
It is hard to think about a film and comment on it spoiler free when it's been a week since we've seen it.
Oh no.
The idea is that me and Charlotte, me and another friend, we're going to see a film at the cinema, and then we'll head back and we'll just record a quick 20-minute discussion in the moment, just initial raw thoughts and feedback straight after seeing a film. Obviously, maybe a little bit rusty as we've seen this film a week ago, but I think it's good to get this out. Knowing that The Killers of the Flower Moon comes to UK cinemas this coming Friday, so in a few days when this episode comes out, I thought it'd be nice to get something out ahead of the discussion. So spoiler free, what would be your one-line review of this film? If someone's like, what did you think of Killers of the Flower Moon? Apart from like, it's good. What would be your like short review?
I mentioned how I thoroughly enjoyed all of the film, from the story to the acting to how it was filmed. I thought it's really clever, and I loved how all the characters were brought to life in it. Not really good at reviews.
That's fine.
But yeah, just that I liked it.
Yeah, I would say that it is a great film and a great story that's really been really well adapted. I think it's at the point where all the technical aspects of the film are so good that you almost don't notice them. I think it's quite rare that when, like, again, with Martin Scorsese being such a master of filmmaking, that the cinematography, the editing, the pacing, and then things like the costume design, the production design, the practical effects, I think it's quite rare that all the elements of the film are working so well together that you don't notice them, and that you you're just watching the story. You're not even thinking, that was a nice shot. Oh, that costume looks nice. That was a cool special effects dynamite explosion. Like, you just get lost in the film and you just experience the story. So I think, yeah, it's filmmaking at its peak, which really elevates the story. So I would give this a 9 out of 10, and I think you would as well.
Yeah, I would.
Great. Well, thank you for listening. And Charlotte, thank you for being the guest on this first episode of the podcast.
No
Sorry
problem.
if it was a bit
Anytime.
rusty. Yeah, we'll look forward to recording some more of these in the future.
Definitely.
If you're listening to this and want to listen to more episodes, check out the rest of them on Spotify, and our social media channels will be in the episode description. Yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll hopefully catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.